Hello and welcome to Breaking Breadboards March. And thank you all for coming. A reminder uh, where the Titanic is going off in the corner. uh, we are streaming. Do we have to play license for that? Okay, that's good. Yeah, good, that's good. So reminder, we are streaming live, so there are cameras around. We will also try and take some photos, probably, probably from the back. So if you do not want your face to appear in the camera, or on Instagram or some other random place, do let one of those three or me know, and we will make sure to blur you out. Probably. We will blow you out or not use that photo. Um, the as always, our intro tends to be quite QR heavy, so I recommend you get your camera out, your phone out at this point, and have it in your hand, because there are QR codes you will want to capture, and there is things you will want to be able to join and jump on. So this is your warning. So there you go. So if it is your first time with us, thank you very much for joining us. And it's my first time doing the presentation because intro, because we've let Mike do that before, but I'm doing it. So what is Breaking Breadboards? We really describe ourselves as where hardware and software meet. We're the fun bit where we actually get the hardware to actually do something interesting without all of that operating system, all of those nice libraries and all of that protection in the way. We're where that hardware and that software meet, and we get to do things with microcontrollers, embedded systems. Yes, there are some operating systems, Raspberry Pis and things, but that's where we are and what we play. And hopefully that will become apparent as we go through our show and tells today. So today we really have had our agenda today, where it's the networking bit, which you've just had over pizza. We are then going to just do the intros, which is what I'm doing at the moment. And then we're going to talk around anyone who's got any digital name badges, any new digital name badges to talk about. No, we might be skipping that today. Oh, well. And then we get into the show and tell, and we got four nice. Oh, sorry, was that a digital name badge? Well, we have one digital name badge to talk about. Excellent, that's cool. And then yeah, so our four wonderful projects are up there today. To Matt talking about his custom 9-segment display clock. The Adam and Stephen talking about around what I think are still of as Brighton Tech. Old Brighton Matt. We're going to look at with Alex around nostalgia video and some of the requirements for near time and latency and how all of that works into our hardware. And Nikhil's going to show a different spin on the name badge, or different spin on the name badge that we've seen before, possibly. So there we go. Please do continue the conversation on Slack. We've got to QR code time. So please do join our Slack community. This is an opportunity to keep into the conversation in between. So that's where to find us and to keep talking. So cool. So we couldn't bring these events to you without some help and some sponsorship. And the first sponsor that we like to talk about is our friends at Silicon Brighton, and they are absolutely vital to us. We are one of 50 odd meetup groups that Silicon Brighton enable locally. We're the only ones that do anything cool with hardware. Yeah, am I going to get to do this again? Or Silicon Brighton itself is supported by a whole load of sponsors, and without them, we couldn't have, AV support to help make this sort of event happen and be able to stream it online and you to be able to actually hear me. So they are all really, really important. So there we go. If you want to stay up to date with activities, Silicon Brighton have their website, and that's there. Another wonderful QR code. And some of the other groups going on this month and into next month are the Brighton Data Forum on the 26th, Brighton AI also on the 26th, the Product Unleashed Storytelling, which sounds quite interesting actually, on the 27th, and Game Dev Drinks, which sounds even more interesting, on the 28th. Yes. So we could also not do this without actually having a venue to meet in and not have to actually pay for them. So our great thanks to FreedomWorks for hosting us. Do you want to please pitch what is FreedomWorks and why are you here?
So much. Hi everyone. So it's great to see a lot of you back and some new faces too. So my name's Maya and I'm the community manager here. For those of you who don't know what we are, we're a co-working space across the south east that offer flexible workspace. So we now have 10 spaces, with Horsham being the newest space that opened at the beginning of the year, and we've also taken on Platform 9 recently as well as a sister brand. So we've got those two different flexible office solutions to offer now, which is great. So we offer meeting rooms, hot desks, dedicated desks, event space, such like this, private offices and virtual offices too. Obviously that includes like free teas and coffees and biscuits and all of that jazz. But we also are in partnership with Berkeley Viva Labs as well, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of as well. They can offer our members free business support to help their businesses grow. And this is all on a flexible package for everyone, businesses and freelancers to get access to somewhere to work in the South Coast, as well as to a great community where they can get peer support to help their business grow. That's part of my job as well, is to kind of foster that collaborative community. So we do this through hosting regular events such as this one, which is why it's so great. And yeah, we love hosting with Silicon Brighton and the guys of Breaking Breadboards too. We also host with Green SEO Meetup as well. We've got one of those coming up at the beginning of April as well, which is going to be a great event. We do like shared lunches, charity cake sales, so all of that, those nice things too. Free beer Fridays as well, which is very popular. So yeah, that's why we all say that we're more than just a roof over your head. So yeah, if anyone is interested or wants to know anything more, yeah, come talk to me. Or we've got these little leaflets around as well. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me come and pitch.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you very much, Maya. And thank you for hosting us. We couldn't do it without you. And also to our sponsors, I'd like to thank who are the sponsors who provided our pizza and drinks this week. And are a local company based in Worthing who set out to improve the design of pretty much anything to make it sustainable. You've heard it, absolutely anything. They're formed of industry innovators in the field of software and product design and development, working on a number of projects under NDA. But one of them that I can talk about is something called Hey You, which is a digital signage platform based on a Raspberry Pi, which they may be able to come along and show us in future. So keep an eye out for are helpfully bringing us our pizzas and sponsors this week. On the subject of pizza, now, in order to fund the pizza and stuff, we as organizers are spending quite a lot of our time trying to go around finding sponsors. Now, that's really good in the sense that we get people like to sponsor and pay for that, But it's also bad because we're spending more time on that than we are on finding content to share with you and to bring along to future events. So we would like to propose a different alternative way of funding this and doing that, and looking for any of you guys who would like to volunteer some cash as patrons to just pay us a little bit of money into the coffers, which can then support the drinks and pizzas in future. If you'd like to do that, and we still want the events to be completely free, so this is completely voluntary. This is the QR code that will get you to a nice web form where you can give us £3 a month, and that will cover our pizzas and drinks, and means that we can focus on finding great people to come and talk, and not necessarily just funding pizzas. So please do that. If you would like to set up a standing order on to do that, come and talk to me and I can sort that out for you. And we'll see how this goes and see where we get on. Yeah, like everything in this group, it's a bit of an experiment. Let's see what works and how you want to support us and help us. So please help us out. So we are next going to talk about Evolve 25, which is the big thing. And I think Cameron is going to tell us all about it. Yes.
One. Oh, there we are. That's better. Cool. Really loud though. Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name's Cameron and I work for Silicon Brighton, and I do or don't know what I'm doing. We can gauge that. Sorry to the stream who can't see my face. You've got John for a bit. But we're Silicon Brighton and we are hosting Evolve. We support lots of different other meetup groups, as John said. But Evolve is really going to be the meetup of all meetups. We're collaborating with every single meetup group, getting extra representation, local businesses to come and support, exhibit, and essentially, like the pizza that QR code that John has put up, this is going to serve as Silicon Brighton's way of funding all that we do as well. So it will just really be fed back into the community, and even outside of that, it's just going to be a brilliant day where digital tech people can come along, showcase what they've got, and you can learn about new businesses, new ideas, all cutting edge stuff. And we have a specific spot available for Breaking Breadboards people to come along to, of which at that point I believe I'll hand over to John.
Cool. So this is all just evolving, really, but the proposition at the moment is that we are going to have a large space, something about 30 meters by 6 meters, in the dome to put stuff in and fill. So we would love to hear, have you any projects that you think we could put on the table that would engage people and interest people in all the fun stuff that we can do? Are you able to help us set up or tear down on that day? Because unfortunately it's all going to be on that one day. So it will probably be a 7 a.m. start and a 7 p.m. finish. Would you like to host the space for a bit and, with other people and, volunteer to be there and talk to people as they're coming around? All of those things, please let us know. We will need help to make this happen. It is exciting. It could be fun. I don't know, we can have a beer vending machine. We could vend something else, I think. But yeah, it is. I'm just not sure how drunk we want people around our computers. It does. But we think of the things we can do and what they will be and how we could do that. And there a few other groups might actually want to share our space as well, but we have been basically given the lead on that space. So please, if you have any ideas, if you want to get involved, please do tap me on the shoulder and let me know, and we can work on it together. So that's Evolve. On less on things that actually we're building, that just stuff going on in the next couple of months that I thought people might be interested in. There is a event in London called the Hardware Pioneers Max 25, which is a hardware show and innovators show looking at embedded systems and things. Some people might be interested. I'm probably going to be there on the 24th, is my plan at the moment. And then there is Maker Central a little bit further away up in Birmingham on the 17th and 18th of May. And I know I'm going to be there on the Saturday the 17th. So lots of insane builder projects and lots of YouTubers support that event and stuff. So all good stuff if you want to have a look at those coming up. Right, so, and also new stuff coming up. We have the idea of running a virtual swap table. We all know that we've got loads of stuff that we bought and it looked like a really good idea and we never quite got around to doing anything with it. And we would like to, you know, would you like to pass that hardware and kit on to someone else? If we think that's a really good idea, but we can't think that having a table here with a whole load of stuff on it is probably the best way of doing that. So we suggest that the way to do it is we're going to create this Google form to get what you've got, and we have to try and find a new home for it and find you some value in handing it on. So there is an idea. Have a go. And if you think of a better way of us running it, or you want to develop a website for us to host that, let us know. So badges, digital badge time. So we've been running since the very beginning the concept of building digital badges and not using paper badges. And so we have a new badge and a new badge member to come and share his badge. So please come on out and let's see the badge.
ESP32 running on a 16 by 2 matrix. So all you have.
So you've got a really short name.
Oh yeah, I thought everyone knows me. Yeah, my name is Solomon, and
it's not going to fit on two screens though.
Oh yeah, it's gonna fit in here.
Oh, okay. So you're
just
going to scroll it.
Yeah. Oh. So.
The gods of demo. Pray to the gods of demo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey!
Yeah, so there you go.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Sure. Is there anything else?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please do keep working on name badges, digital name badges. We love to see them and all great. Right, so it's time to get into the actual show and tells. So first up, we have Matt with the custom clock.
Hello. Just plug in. Okay. Great. Hello, everyone. So yeah, my name's Matt. So those who were at the previous event may have remembered I did a little prototype of this, and then I said I might make it into a clock, and I actually went and did it. Surprised myself. Oh, and the QR codes aren't going to stop, I'm afraid. Yeah, this is just my GitLab account, so everything I'm done is open source and will be on there. I haven't really written it up very well because I've only just got it working, but in the next few weeks it will be written up a bit better as well. But everything I've shown you can find on that GitLab repository. So just a quick recap, the inspiration for this was I saw a video. I thoroughly recommend this video. It's like 20 minutes of very kind of aesthetically pleasing animations that this chap has designed all these different number of segment displays and just got really geeky about it really and inspired me. So that was the origin of where I started, and I can't remember where mine, yeah, this is the one that I decided to go with. So yeah, 9 segment. Oh yeah, that's just a bigger picture of it. So yeah, some really cool designs. Some of them aren't very readable, but yeah, they look cool. So this is the prototype, which I showed last time. So it was just some NeoPixel Mini 3535 RGB LEDs on a CNC mill PCB. So at work we've got a CNC mill, so I was able to just do it quickly on that. And then you can see in the background I've got a SAMD21 Zhao dev board that is just driving it, and it's all based on Arduino. And so that was like just the proof of concept. So it's a 3D print with then a piece of paper on the front, and you can see the patterns coming through. So yeah, I like the effect, so I thought I'd keep on going. So what features do I want in the clock? Well, I want it to display hours and minutes, and have a separator like colon to indicate seconds. I'm running the time at 10x speed, just so you see things change, FYI. I'd like it to actually be a functional clock, which is actually the one thing that I think I failed to do in this revision. But next revision we should get there. I'd like the colors to be customizable, and also have it automatically dim at night, because I like it in my bedroom, but I don't want it to be keeping me awake. So I started off with the schematic. I won't go into too much detail, but essentially we've got a microcontroller, and then I used KiCad, so the open source electronics CAD suite. Used hierarchical sheets, so each set of 9 LEDs that form a digit is a sheet, and so replicate them. And then the NeoPixels are daisy chained, so you put signal in on one, and then it comes out, and so you can have multiples on one chain and just have one data line. So we have all the digits daisy chained. We've got 2 NeoPixels in the middle, which are for the little colon in the middle, and then our minutes digits. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to run it off 3.3 volts or 5 volts, so I just put in a little solder jumper so I could decide after I'd made it. And then I've got a little LDR in a resistor bridge. So, and that in the middle goes to the one of the analog to digital converter channels, and that's how I'm sensing the light input. And that's just the NeoPixel arrangement. I've got decoupling capacitors on each NeoPixel, but they don't really need them. I've only just got one decoupling capacitor for the whole voltage line. So yeah, and so that's the PCB layout. I really like the 3D feature of the KiCad. I know the other CAD suites do it as well, but it's really useful for just visualizing what you're doing. And so yeah, got some mounting holes to put it in the mount it onto the 3D print. And then I can't remember if I had a picture of the back. No, I didn't. But on the back, I've got the dev board. So I sent that off to PCBWay. The mill at work is really good, but it's quite hard work if you've got multiple wires connecting your back and front coppers, because you have to fill them manually with a little bit of wire, and it's just a bit finicky. So I thought I'd splash out and get it sent away to PCBWay. But I didn't have them assemble it because doing the reflow is quite good fun. So yeah, manufactured by PCBWay, but I hand soldered using a reflow hot air gun. So the paste I just blobbed on, it was a syringe paste, and that's just the back. I just hand soldered those components on the back. I've got, yeah, that's the finished front. And I've got a video showing the reflow process because I always enjoy it. Can it do full screen? Yeah. So you see, we've got the paste before it's been reflowed is like grey. So what it is basically it's flux with tiny little solder balls suspended in it in like a suspension. And you can see that's just kind of spread everywhere. But it doesn't actually matter because once you heat it up, you'll see that the flux evaporates and the solder kind of surface tension of the solder brings it all together. And you can see that quite often it will slide off to the side, but eventually it will just snap back in, and it's just very satisfying to to watch. And so it's a really good way of getting nice reproducible positioning. And yeah, I could watch it forever. Great. So yeah, that's how I assembled it. And I went for gold. I just assembled the whole thing. Normally I'll just do a few components and then test it and then add more. But I didn't have enough time, so I just went for it. And it worked out, luckily, so that's good. I think we've lost presentation mode. Yeah, okay. So then in terms of the case, I wanted it to try and make it look fairly nice, and something that I'd actually want to have in my bedroom. So I used FreeCAD to mock up a case design. So essentially we've got this bit here, which has the light guides. And then on the back, we've got heat threaded inserts that go into the 3D print, and then bolts that will go through these holes. And then this second mount piece, which I print separately, and then I've just glued on the bottom. I think once I'm happy with this design, I'll probably send it off to PCBWay because they can do better 3D printing. They can do SLS, and so I might get it done in nylon as all one unit, and it should be a nicer print. The one thing I'm kind of disappointed with the result is I wanted to have a kind of like a frosted perspex insert that goes in this front. That's what this white thing is, but I ran out of time or didn't order it in time. So I haven't got that. I found this like frosted paper type stuff in the lab, and so just glued it on, and it looks a bit crap, but it'll do for now. Next iteration will be better. So because it comes off the surface as well, it kind of blurs some of the lines a bit. So if some of the segments look a bit thinner or whatever, it's because the paper's coming off the surface. Yeah, designed in FreeCAD. Go for open source software. It's great. 3D printed on a Ender 3 that I've got at home. It's my one of purchase that I got last year I got that. It's been used quite a lot. So that's good. So yeah, this is the light guide bit. So it's a bit rough, but it's does the job. And then a nice satisfying video again. So if you're not familiar with this process, so you can get these little threaded inserts that are made out of brass, and because PLA melts at quite a low temperature, you can basically shove a soldering iron into the insert and push it in, and then it's a really good way of attaching stuff to your 3D print, and it's just really fun to do. So yeah, it's the best job of the project. Yeah, it always does. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can buy these special tips now for some soldering irons that are designed for doing this, and that doesn't stick. But I'm too cheap for that. Okay. So yeah, this is the finished result, and obviously it's here as well. We've got the LDR soldered in the back, and then there's a Wi-Fi antenna for the microcontroller that I've used. Did I write down which microcontroller I used? No, I didn't. So I changed from using the SAMD21 micro Zhao to the ESP32C3 Zhao, because that has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And as you'll see later, I utilize that. And this stuck on the back as the Wi-Fi antenna. I will make that pretty in the next revision. Okay, so yeah, and that's the final result. So I was pretty pleased with seeing that. So a little bit on the code. It's all Arduino. I will probably move it to the ESP32 toolchain eventually, but the Arduino is good for just getting things done quickly. So the NeoPixels are driven using the Adafruit NeoPixel library. So basically you create a NeoPixel object and you say how many pixels are in your daisy chain, what is the pin that is actually driving it, and it's a PWM type signal that drives them, and then that's just the type of the LED that you're using. And so then you can control each pixel in the chain by saying which pixel number you want to set and then the color that you want to set it to. So the pixels are arranged in this order, so they go around and then to the middle one. So in order to figure out how to program what a 0 or a 1 would look like, I basically encoded it as binary. So for a 0, you'd want all of the segments on except for the 8th segment. So that would mean the most significant bit would be 0, and then the remaining bits would be 1. So that's a 255 in binary. And then equivalently a 1, you just want the 5, 6, and 7 segments on. So in binary, that would be those 3 bits on and the remaining off. So that would be equivalent of a 224 in decimal. So I used that encoding to create a number mask array. So for digit 0, which is position 0, that's the decimal number you need for it. And then position 1 would be digit 1, etc. So you can now do whatever digit you want. And I created a function to display that digit, and you can then pass in, so if you want a digit 0, you then pass in the 0 element of that array into the display digit function, and then ignore that bit for now, and then you specify your color that you want the pixel to be. So that display digit function, how I did this is that I took in this value, so remember that's our binary number, and then for each of the 9 bits in that number, I bit shift it right by I times. So the first time it would be bit shifting it right 0 times, and then masking that with just a 1. So you're then chopping off the least significant bit. And if that least significant bit is a 1, then you can set the pixel color to the color that you specified. Otherwise, set that pixel color to 0, and then that is will give you your digits. Then I initially thought it would be a stretch goal to get a web UI going, but Niall came in handy and did some cool web elements for me. So we managed to get it working together. So that's really cool. So the ESP32 can act as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So it's actually creating its own network called 9-segment clock, I think. And that is then hosting a website which you can control the clock with. So the controls that they have are setting the time manually or automatically getting it from the browser and setting it, controlling the brightness. I've actually changed this feature. So this auto brightness happens all the time, and then the brightness just scales how intense that auto brightness is. You can then also set the color, and I would like to implement color cycles, predefined color cycles, but I haven't yet. So this is the cool looking web interface that Niall did for me. If you want to check out his website, you can scan the QR code there. So yeah, it automatically fills the time from the browser. You've got a slider for the brightness and then a color picker to set the color. And this is where we will try and do a live demo. It was working an hour ago, so hopefully, hey, and Niall's got it up. So I think we're going to show it on the. Okay. Oh, okay. And then also to show you the auto brightness. So the brightness is on a moving average, so it doesn't change really quickly and rapidly. So you should see it dim slowly, yeah. So I've covered the LDR and then lift it back up and it's brighter again. So yeah. Yeah, cool, it worked, amazing. Okay, so next iteration. So the one thing that I really didn't do was actually make it useful as a clock, because as soon as you don't turn the power off, it obviously doesn't save the time. So the next iteration, I want to include a real-time clock chip, which has a little battery. Yeah, which will have a little battery in it. So when you disconnect the main power, the pixels will go out, but it will still save the time in the background. And then when you update the time from the browser, it'll then update the real-time clock chip as well. So yeah, that's the main thing. Obviously, I want to include the laser cut perspex front to make it look better. Yeah, I've got the battery. Also, some physical buttons on the back would be quite good, so you can actually do things without having to use your phone. And yeah, just completely forgot about that, so I'd do that. And then also probably I'd put an EEPROM on, so you can just save some predefined color profiles, and maybe I'll expose that to the web control as well, so you can set your color cycles that you want. Oh, and yeah, maybe a buzzer for an alarm, I don't know. But then I'd have to have a button to turn it off as well, so maybe, we'll see. And also move the code to the ESP32 tool chain, probably. But yeah, so I think that's everything. So thank you very much. Any questions?
We'll do questions as a panel at the end, if that's all right, whether or get all the presenters up at the same time. That'll be more fun that way. Right, we have Adam and Stephen taking us through Brighton Met or BTEC.
You start.
Hello.
Clicker?
No, this one. This is the part of the talk that is us talking, so I hope you enjoy. So, yeah, this is my fancy presentation. I hope you enjoy it. Give it a click.
There we go.
Oh, this is us. Hello. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Stephen.
Yep, I'm Steve Robinson, so I'm the curriculum lead for digital T-levels at the moment at Brighton Met. More about what those are in a second.
And I'm Adam. I'm actually the specialist technician on the floor, so it's my job to keep everything up and running and implementing new cool stuff and doing a bunch of cool stuff as well. Yeah. So Brighton Met College is part of Chichester College Group. It's a very, very large college group. It's the largest provider of college and A-level courses across the west of Sussex. And we are one of the largest chunks of that. We provide courses for 16 to 19-year-olds mainly. But we also run adult courses. We run additional supplemental courses as well. We host events, that sort of thing as well. So it's not just the college. It's a wide range of things as well. Yeah, do you want to give a bit more on that? Or?
I'd like to talk a little bit about what the T-levels and what we're doing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go for it.
So I don't know if you're aware, level 3 courses pretty much now are changing, or they have been changing for the past 3 or 4 years, where they're now removing, the government's removing things like BTECs, OCR, and pretty much what's left are things called T-levels. Are you aware of T-levels? Anybody heard of T-levels? Few nods, few shakes. I think that's fairly representative of how the government is actually marketing these things at the minute. They're not. So essentially, what is a T-level? Well, it's a level 3 qualification, so equivalent to 3 A-levels. But the big difference between a T-level and a standard BTEC, OCR, that sort of thing, is that they get a 45-day work placement. Now, that's not your standard work experience that you had at school, where you just stared at the ceiling for a week. You're actually going out and working. So we've currently got students out working at the council. We've got them at other IT companies. We've got them at Sussex University. So they're out now working and gaining real world experience, which is absolutely critical for them, because it makes it real. If for no other reason, it makes it real for them. But also it gives them experience for when they actually go for a job, they can actually say, yep, I've got a bit of experience. So at the moment we're running 1 T-level, digital sports services, which essentially is teaching them to be IT technicians. So they can go into things like networking, security, that sort of thing, but essentially it's an IT tech job role that we're training them into. Come September, we're going to start a 2nd T-level called, we're going with a new name, not the old name, aren't we? Software engineering, so it's coding essentially. So that's going to start in September. These are 2-year courses. The first year, basically for both T-levels, we run a thing called core elements, which is basically, we teach them about business. Because the whole qualification is in the context of a business. So we're teaching them business, legislation, culture, that sort of thing. We're also teaching them the technical skills, hardware, fault diagnosis, project management, data analysis, testing. But also we're trying to prepare them for work. Now, this isn't really part of curriculum. What we've done is we've gone out to the businesses and said, what are you looking for in a recruit? And they all kind of tell me the same thing. So we're trying to embed those attitudes into the students as well. And not only that, give them the opportunity to demonstrate those aptitudes. So things like getting them involved in competitions, getting them involved in volunteering. We did, what was it, the Teen Tech up at Amex, not that long ago. We also get them, or try to get them involved in networking. So we take them to events up in London, Cyber Expo, SEO conference, that sort of thing. We're trying desperately to get them to come to events like this, but they're a little bit scared of you guys, unfortunately. But we're desperate to get them to come out and speak to you lot so they can understand what's going on, what's new, and just start building a network and talking to employers, essentially. So we're trying all these things to prepare them for work, and then hopefully at the end of the 2 years, that's where they're going to go. So there's 3 routes out of here: apprenticeship, university, or just straight into the workplace. There's not been recently there's been some bad press about T-levels, which I think is a little unfair. We're finding it quite successful. We've got students out, we're getting really good feedback from the employers, telling us that they are really contributing to the teams that they're in, the learning, and in some cases there's potential that there's full-time jobs going to be offered at the end of the course. So that kind of demonstrates how well they're doing. But as a college, not only that, I went out actually a couple of days ago to speak to the students while they're on their placement at a company. I found that the guy that's teaching them, mentoring them, is an apprentice that I had 3 years ago. So the apprentice that I had 3 years ago is now mentoring the new generation. and that was really actually pleasing to see. So we're hoping that's going to continue, and that's where you lot come in, because it's not just about finding work placements for these people. It's also other things as well, which we'll come on to.
So we're going to go on to the next little part here, where we're going to just talk about some of the cool stuff that we've done. So what have we been up to? The first thing that we'd like to talk to you about very briefly is that we did a bit of an app development week with a company called Dabas. Would you like to talk about this, Stephen, a little bit?
Yeah,
I'll do the next one.
Essentially, we had a company that came in, and they set them a project, and they were split into teams. And the idea was that they went away, they project managed, they researched, they came up with designs, they came up with a proof of concept, and then after the whole thing was finished, I think it was 5 days, was it? It ran over. They presented their finished products to various employers from Brighton, including Dabas, and then they judged who they felt was the winner. So they learned many skills from that. It wasn't just the design, it wasn't just the research, it was also working in a team, trying to implement project management strategies, that sort of thing, and presentation skills, which you can imagine for kids of 16, 17, it doesn't come easy to them. But to be honest, I think they all did rather well, didn't they? So.
The other event, or another event that we've hosted, we've hosted our first annual Met Tech Fest, is what we're coining it as. We hosted that back in January last year. The next time we're hosting it is on February 12th next year. This is an event where we got, it was around 30 different employers from around Brighton, from everything from software engineers to video game developers and indie game studios. Basically, wherever tech meets games, it covered all of our computing and games courses that we host. And that was a really successful event. We had over an 80% turnout of all the businesses that we actually invited and who said that they were going to come along, which in events is incredible. Everyone was really keen. And it was just really fun. It was just really cool to see that many people get together. And we're hoping to go a little bit bigger with the next one as well. So if that's something you'd want to get involved in, obviously just let us know. You can come along as well and chat to some cool people. Then we've also gone to the Brighton SEO conference. This is your one again.
Yes. Yeah, we were lucky enough to get free tickets for this. I don't know if you know, it's not a cheap do to get a ticket for this event, but we managed to get some free educational tickets. Students learnt a lot. Not only did they learn a lot about SEO, but they also came away with a hell of a lot of freebies. You couldn't believe the freebies they were coming back with. I mean, oh, it was ridiculous. It was utterly ridiculous. But very expensive stuff as well. This wasn't cheap stuff that they were getting. Anyway, they thoroughly enjoyed that event. And oh yes, Michael Bettis. I'll give you that because you've been more involved with that than me.
And then we've had a lovely dude called Michael. He's come in. He works with is it British Airways. He works with a consultancy firm, and he came into college and he donates his time. So 1 day a week he comes in. He tutors the students in a real life work environment. So the students have been setting up a multinational retail network mock-up. So it's quite interesting to see the corners of the room decorated like Paris, decorated like Belgium, Belgium or like Germany, stuff like that. And then setting up, as I say, a retail system and all the sort of bells and whistles that you'll tie into that as well, while also trying to take into account things like international law and all the other thrilling documents that come along with that. So yeah, that's been great fun. And we like showing that off as well. And then the other project that we've been working on, or that they've been working on, if I go to the next slide, is there should be a familiar name here if you guys have been here recently. So what am I aiming at? There we go. So we've been working quite closely with the University of Sussex off the back of one of these meetups. So yeah, a couple months ago, when Andre did his talk, I reached out to him and said, "Oh, hey, can we work together?" And he said yes. So this is a wonderful success story. You can see Solomon's beautiful face. I'll call it down here as well. So we've been taking part in. Can we go back to that one? Oh, I broke it. Oh no. Well, there we go. So yes, he's come in. He's given a guest lecture. We've done a staff CPD day and work experience day there, learning what the students would be partaking in. And we actually have 2 students placed at the University of Sussex now as part of their T-level work experience quota, as such. And we're hearing good things. They're doing really well there. So thank you, Breaking Breadboards. Thank you very much. So that's wonderful to see. That's great feedback and great work for them to do as well. Yeah, of course.
Because one of the things that we're desperate to get, not just these placements that I've talked about, but we're trying to get information from employers, not only about the type of person that they're looking for, the aptitudes, that sort of thing, but it's the skills as well. So we want to embed into the curriculum the skills that employers are now looking for. We don't want to just rely on the awarding bodies and what they tell us to do. We want to embed what's actually needed out there. So this is a good example of that. So we went on that particular day just to fundamentally find out what the students are going to be getting up to and the environment that they were going to be in. But we're now going to hopefully try and take on board some of the skills that the students need in order to work in that environment and try and embed that into the curriculum. So yeah, that's really useful. And hopefully we need more and more of that sort of information to make not only the curriculum real for the students, but to actually teach the students the skills that they actually need in order to get a job in the area. So yeah.
Lovely. I'm not sure either. Oh, over there. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That works fine now. Look at that. There we go. Yeah, so this is how you can get involved. There's plenty of ways to get involved, if this is appealing in any which way. So we host guest lectures frequently if you want to come in and talk at some students. Guest workshops as well if you want to create stuff with the students. Work placements, as you've already kind of seen. Work experience. Which is anything that will be related to an actual job role. It can be done in a number of ways, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. We also do business and office tours, or where we go out with the students to locations and show them stuff, and you guys can show off what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and just giving them a bit of a taster of the actual working world. So it's not an enigma when they try to enter it. Curriculum review, which we've briefly spoken on as well. So we want to gear our curriculum towards employers and employer needs, in addition to or alongside existing courses. Best practices guidance as well. It's tech. Every single month it's different. There's a new app come out. You know, we've got to be good at all of that kind of stuff, and also clue the students into what the best thing is going to be in 2 years' time when they're looking for work. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to predict the future. It's tricky, but that's our job. That's what we have to do. So that's another angle there. And any help on that, obviously, let us know. And the other thing is donations. So I know it was mentioned about the swap table earlier. If that doesn't go too well for you and you've got a box of wires that you want to get rid of, we'll have it. We'll put it to good use. Especially with hardware kit, we use that kind of stuff for not only teaching purposes, but also to provide the students with the kit and environments that they would have in a workplace and emulate that at the college as well. So it's niche kit really that we kind of look for. But anything, I don't know, if you've got stuff kicking about and you want to get rid of it, walk around with a van. And then what else do we offer? Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. I'm just thinking if I want to add anything to the previous one. Yeah. I mean, essentially with all this lot, what we're trying to do, and I think I might have mentioned it, I can't remember now, is we're trying to transition them from school to work, and that's not an easy thing. So we can talk about the curriculum, we can talk about the way of the world and what it's like in work, etc. But unless it's actually made real for them, they don't really get it. So that's one of the things that we're desperate to get from employers, whether it's you guys coming in and talking to the students, offering placements, or indeed equipment, so that we can get practical and show them how things actually work. All those things make it real, which makes the course more engaging for the students, which makes them engaged, and we get better outcomes, both for us and for the employers. So what else are we doing? So yeah, we've got high educational courses. Are you doing do you know about the web application?
I do a little bit, yeah.
Go on, I'll give you. Well, I'll talk about the other one first. They're not actually on there, but we're doing some adult courses. I think potentially we are in line to be delivering some boot camps on things like generative AI, plus other things that we haven't quite worked out yet. But there's some boot camps that we're going to be offering adults, not just necessarily 16, 17, 18-year-olds. As I mentioned, we've got this other T level that's starting in September, which is specifically around coding. So the one that, as I've said, the one that we're doing at the moment is more hands-on tech sort of thing, but we're going to be doing coding from September. Also, we're going to be potentially running some cybersecurity courses, where there's introductions, intermediate, that sort of thing. What else? Have I missed anything? What else are we doing? Okay.
So, so yeah, we've just started branching into university level courses. So you can see here with the level 5 with the web application development course. We've started to take on more of these after we've paired with the Institute of Technology. So if you know anyone who's trying to break into the tech industry, wants a little refresher, you can get sort of lower cost university grade courses through Brighton Met College as well. The boot camps that we just spoke about, there's sort of about 5 or 6 that is kind of up in the air at the moment. The next slide has some beautiful QR codes that you'll be able to add us on LinkedIn, basically. So you can keep an eye on what we're doing. If you are interested in that kind of stuff or know anyone who is, we're more than happy to have a chat. Yes.
What do you want to do? I mean, we've listed here what we're kind of thinking of doing, but it's really down to the employers in Brighton to tell us what they want, the skills that they're looking for. They tell us, communicate what those skills are, then we'll try and deliver courses to fulfill those gaps. So we're needing that information from you guys as well.
Are we ready for some QR codes?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my God. Yeah, so if any of you guys want to get in touch to talk about any of those aspects, just reach out, just let us know. We're always on the lookout for companies or knowledgeable individuals to get involved and just, guide these students' lives, make them a little bit better. And hopefully they'll get more opportunities out of it at the end as well. Make the world a better place. Anything else you'd like to add? No? We're done. Cheers.
Thank you. All right. And I have to point it this way, right? Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. So, okay, I'm going to talk about a project that I've been working on for a while, and it is about video games. One trend that is kind of happening now in the video games area is the fact that people are kind of rediscovering old games and old hardware. And they actually do like them a lot. And one thing that is surprising, we will talk about it, is why. Here I can give only one answer. This is it's a question that can have many different answers, but an answer that is kind of relevant to the kind of topics that we discuss in this particular group. So let's start. Okay, sorry. All right. All right. Sorry. So this is an old game for the PS1. It's the first one that I had. It's called Crash Bandicoot. And it's relevant to this discussion because a few years ago, there was a remake for the PS4 of this game. So does it start if I press this? Can you start the video? Thanks. Didn't start. Right. So let's compare the two. This is the PS1 version, and this is the PS4 version. This is an IGN video, a clip that compares the two. Now, yeah, you can stop it. I did stop it. So if you look at these two versions of the same game, the PS4 seems to be clearly the winner because it has better graphics and sounds. It's much more detailed. And fair enough, the PS4 is a much better platform compared to the PS1. It's much more powerful. But if you play both versions of this game and you play the PS1 version on the real PS1, you will find out that the PS1 is much more responsive as a game. And this is surprising because, again, the hardware of the PS4 is much better. And so this is, I think, the reason why, or one of the main reasons why we still like older video games, and it has to do with latency. So modern systems, they tend to have a much higher latency. You can think of latency as the time between you press a button on your game controller and when something happens on screen or a sound is played or something like that. So latency, it is about, let's say, 1/10 of a second nowadays, which is not a long time. So people think, does it matter at all? Well, it turns out that it does, but it is something that is difficult to explain to people who don't know the details. So I found this other video, which it's from a marketing campaign of about 10 years ago, where they wanted to show the effect of latency. Oops, sorry. I didn't want it to play yet, but it's all right. We can replay it. Just pause it. All right, thanks. So they wanted to show the effect of latency. And in this case, you see that there is a guy with a VR headset, and it had two cameras sending the video stream to the VR headset, but with a bit of delay. And like you looked at the video of how it goes, but one interesting thing is that this guy, despite the VR headset, he's quite well coordinated. He can play ping pong, at least at this level. But he's too late in his response because his input vision is too late compared to the real world. So this is a similar, of course, here it's exaggerated, but it's a similar situation with modern games. If you have high input latency, you are always a bit too late to respond to whatever happens in the game. And the way to enable this guy to play ping pong with the VR headset on is to slow down the ball. But slowing down the ball makes the game a bit more boring. And this is, again, similar to what happens with modern games nowadays. Okay, so latency, it is quite a short interval of time. It's about 1/10 of a second. It used to be much less in the past. Another reason why it's important, and this is about how our brains are wired, is that like when we have to do an activity like playing ping pong or driving a car on the highway or I don't know, skiing, a type of activity that we are reasonably good at, but it requires our full attention and it requires us to be alert and able to respond very quickly to whatever happens. We go into what is called the state of flow. And if there is a latency, our brain kind of understand, okay, I don't have to fully engage with this. So it kind of shuts it down and changes this state of flow, which we perceive as excitement and it's something pleasurable. It switches it to something closer to being bored, like when you do binge watching, changing the TV channel because there's nothing interesting. So this is another reason why latency, even if it's a short amount of time, it matters a lot. And if you play on older game hardware and you compare how to play the same game on the older game hardware and on the newer one, you will know the difference. So the big question is, can we get the best of both? Ideally, I want the graphics of a PS4 or PS5 with the responsiveness of a PS1, or possibly even better. And in order to get into this direction, we have actually to work on the intersection of software and hardware. We have to have software and hardware to work in unison so that we can deliver low latency. Oops. Can I go back? So this is a well-known problem. So in the industry, people have tried to find solutions to this. And one a company that worked on this is NVIDIA. Oops. With a product called Reflex. It's in its second iteration now. The first version required a 360 Hertz screen in order to deliver low latency. And this is a bit odd if you think about it. Like in the 50s, in the 70s, late 70s or early 80s, we could get very low latency with a 50 Hertz screen in the PAR region, 60 in the NTSC. And nowadays, we need something like this to get actually more latency than what was possible in the late 70s. So there is something wrong with this. And this is my guess. I don't know what they do or how they work, but my wild guess, but educated guess, is that they don't have control over the operating system, for example. And even if they did, with big companies, it's difficult to get people with different expertise, get them together, really study a problem together and find a solution that is better than the sum of each part. So on this note, there is a company that is quite famous for being able to put different people together and solving problems. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're called Apple. They are very, very, very good at doing this kind of stuff. They do have a game mode that is supposed to reduce latency, but I don't hear people screaming, buy a Mac if you want to do gaming. So I'm not sure how well it works. They don't push it too much from the marketing perspective. So one thing I've done I started during the pandemic, it's a project to solve these kind of problems. And in practice, I own the whole technology stack. So to a certain degree, the hardware, even if I'm not an expert in electronics, the operating system on top of it, which I heavily customized to deliver lower latency, and then the libraries on top of that, and some of the application code. And I've done this, I have an architecture in mind of how this can be done, but I needed to show a proof of this, like, does it actually work? And so I did all of this work. So to give you an idea, sorry, it doesn't seem. Yeah, to give you a comparison, so NVIDIA is the biggest company in the world. I'm a single individual. I don't think it's even possible to compete with them, but like, they do have resources that I cannot even dream of, but still the solution they have requires expensive hardware. Mine works with a 1080p 60 hertz screen. So I think there is some value in this work that I've done. And I'm asking myself, can I turn this into something commercial somehow? Well, this is very difficult. Like I said, competing with these people is impossible. But maybe there is a way to kind of work together with maybe with other people and slowly getting there, because it would be good, in my opinion, to have the next generation of gaming consoles to have great graphics, but also very low latency. So if you guys want to help, please get in touch. I've got a Facebook page called No Input Lag as a single word. I don't update it very often. Otherwise, here there is my LinkedIn profile, but I don't update that very often as well. I'm not a big social media guy. So yeah, I'm done. If there are any questions, otherwise. Okay, all right. Thank you all.
All right. I'll stand on this side if that's okay. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Nikhil. For those of you who don't already know me, I'm one of the founders of this group, and I'm just a general techie person. I do software for my day job, but yeah, hardware is always my passion. Has always been my passion. Yeah, let me get the clicker first. That would be kind of useful. So I'm going to be talking about this badge right here, more about the process of how I got to building this. And yeah, so let's get into that. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to build a badge. It had to be somewhat useful, but it can't just be useful. So it had to be a bit silly as well, right? That would be the perfect badge. So I considered a bunch of things. So those are just some examples of useful and silly things. But I don't think could have turned those into badges. Has anybody seen that thing? It's a tease made, yeah. So that went too far. Can we go back? It's there's yeah, talking about latency. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's where I wanted to be. Excellent. Yeah, so yeah, so this is one of the useful things. It's not particularly silly, but it would be really silly if you were to hang it around your neck. So yeah, but I didn't think I could actually pinch one of these, and I don't think it would be super easy to hang around my neck either. So yeah, so I actually shrunk it down, and this is actually a live view of North Street Stop Y. So yeah, so if somebody wants to double check, they can whip out the app and check that it is actually live. Yeah, so yeah, that's what it is. It is kind of useful. It is kind of silly. I mean, who puts a bus schedule on a name badge? Yeah, so me. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to do was not be janky. Yeah, I that's totally not intentional. That wasn't me. That wasn't my badge. uh, okay, latency. Yeah, so that was actually my badge. If some of you remember, this was actually, I was hanging this around my neck, but this was like a super low resolution screen, and it didn't do much. So yeah, so I decided to go with a low resolution screen that still doesn't do much. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the slide to change. Ah, yeah. So yeah, if you look around on GitHub and if you just search around on the interwebs for how do you get this info, none of the methods work anymore. There used to be, there's no official API from the Brighton and Hove buses. There used to be a few third parties who provided free APIs. None of those work anymore. There are a couple of third parties who provide paid APIs now, and I didn't want to get into that. So yeah, so I just resorted to scraping, and that's the reason why this is actually a Raspberry Pi Zero, and then OLED screen on top. And the reason why I wanted to use a Raspberry Pi Zero is because initially I figured that I would have to probably parse HTML, and I did not want to do that on a Pico because I might have to parse HTML with regex, and that's just speeding up the heat death of the universe. So yeah, but in the end, it turned out not to be so complex at all. So it's just string matching. Actually, I'm not matching any HTML tags at all. The only janky thing that I had to do was I had to set the user agent to Chrome. Otherwise, they don't like it. So yeah, so that's it. I mean, this is the core logic of the thing. You get these lines of text in the output, and you just parse it, and yeah, then I throw that on an OLED display. So that's the badge. And yeah, I liked how easy and simple it came out to be. I mean, it's like maybe this many more lines to throw the text on the display. And yeah, that's it. That's it for me. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Q&A time.
Cool.
So invite our four invite everyone back up. I don't know.
Check. There you go.
Right. Questions. Sorry. One behind first.
Sorry, the clock with your LEDs, are those LEDs numbered like one-wire devices and you've got to put them on in the right order? Or how does the microcontroller know which one is which if they're all down the one wire?
Okay, so if you sent one bit of data, it would just go to the first pixel. But if you send then another bit, rather than setting the first bit to that first pixel, then shift the next and shift it out. So shift it on. So in order to set the 11th pixel, you need to send 11 bits worth of data, and then that 11th bit will be
so it's one long shift register.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's quite simple in some regards.
Cool. Thank you.
Also a question about the clock. Do you what heat gun are you using? Is it high end? I mean, I'm looking to get into my first surface mount project, and I'm scared.
Yeah. So there's one on eBay that you can get that's really cheap, but I wouldn't recommend it because there's a few videos of it like melting online. But there's one that looks very similar from RS that I think is a little more reliable. I can find a link and share it with you later though. But it's not, yeah, it's low end. I don't know, 30 quid, something like that.
Please put it in the Slack group. There
Yeah, I will.
might be more
Good
of us
idea.
interested in that. I'm also liking to get into surface mount one day,
Great.
but I'm not sure I can see well enough.
Thank you. Question about gaming. When I grew up a long time ago, and when we started, the game ecosystem was the way most people learned how to code. So it was from Spectrums and before, 6502 type coding. So the gaming ecosystem has died over time. So you've probably had the big Sony PlayStation, big place in London. They had a game studio there, and that died. So I'm seeing almost like the big tech industry. You've got the big game industry, and it's excluding people. Do you see this as actually an antidote to that, or going back to game creation?
Well, does this work? Yeah. So the way I look at things is like there will always be individuals who want to do stuff. So it's not about what you cannot control what the big guys want to do to the ecosystem, but there is always a place for an individual to do something that they think is amazing and maybe get together with other people like that. So it might be that instead of killing the ecosystem, maybe they made it kind of less visible because they have bigger numbers. But it doesn't mean that there aren't people who are kind of trying to do the same kind of things that were done in the past. I think that one thing that this kind of technology can help with is like when you start coding games, one of the first examples of game programming is Pong. So the two rackets and the ball. And due to high latency, we cannot make it fun anymore, because it's like the ping pong I showed. It's exactly that problem. Instead, there is a fun version of Pong for mine, which graphically it's terrible, but it is very fun to play, and it's similar to playing ping pong. And I see that beginning coders, they could benefit from this because they start making the games that they are actually fun. It's not like they show it to their parents and they congratulate them because they want to encourage them, but then they never play with that game ever again. You can write simple games that people actually want to play with for half an hour every now and again. So there is a component of that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I've got three boys who are now men. They've grown up, and they're sort of consumers rather than producers of games. Yeah, it's something I tried to get them involved with writing games, but they really weren't interested, because Minecraft, you create your programming in that ecosystem and then lose your ability to sense logic because it gets lost and it's not yours. Roblox does the same. So you create things for someone else.
Yeah, but again, it's not everything that is available. Those are like
those are the
popular options. Yeah.
And yet there are more indie games being published now than ever before.
Oops.
Next.
I was going to ask a quick question, Clock. What solder did you use?
Oh, good question. I think I was naughty and used lead solder.
That makes sense, because if you try and use lead-free on LEDs like that, they tend to turn into a very messy.
Yeah, we have a secret stash at work.
Yeah, you can also use bismuth solder as well. It's
Oh,
about
okay.
138 degrees.
Oh, I've not heard of that one.
But I think it's a bit brittle.
Oh, okay.
If anybody wants to ask about hand placing surface mount, do come and talk to me. And also the protocol for the LEDs, basically it sends out a chain of blocks of 3 bytes of color. Each LED takes the first block of 3, shows it, and then sends the remainder on to the next until you run out.
Thank you. Next.
Looks like it's all on the clock. Why did you do it? Why did you make it a hotspot rather than a Wi-Fi client? Because then if you make it a Wi-Fi client, you can just use NTP and get atomic time, and then your clock will be a clock.
Yeah, good point, and that would be a good solution. But I don't like putting loads of things on my Wi-Fi, and if it doesn't need internet access, then I don't like to give it internet access. That's more about me than anything else, though. I mean, yeah, that would be a great solution as well.
Cool.
Quick question for the Met guys. Anything? And what are you looking for in mentors and people to provide some input?
Anybody and everybody, really. What do you mean something specific?
I mean, are there particular skills, particular backgrounds, or is it anything in the world of tech?
I mean, the current tier level that we're running is specifically around IT technicians, network engineers, security analysts, that sort of thing. So it would be more ideal to get people in to talk around that sort of subject matter. But the more people get in, because the other thing as well is that when we do get people that come in from the outside and start talking to the students, they start sparking ideas, and the students go, "No, I hadn't thought of that. Actually, I wouldn't mind going down that avenue." So it's a broad range, really, to be honest. And as I say, we're now bringing in this tier level that's specifically to do with coding. So I don't really want to narrow it down and just say we just want this group of people. I mean, it's anybody and everybody that feels that they could offer some value.
Yeah. Do bear in mind that these are 16 to 19-year-olds. I don't know if you can cast your mind back to when you were 16 to 19. Did you have any idea what you wanted to be? We all needed a bit of guidance, I think, around that age. So, yeah, it's just letting them know what is out there so they can specialize further into something that actually they want to do. And that might be currently what you're doing. Who knows?
a Time Lord that can speed up time on my clock.
Hey, also for Adam and Stephen, just curious to know what you're doing to prepare your students for the AI-assisted coding future that is, I think we're right on the brink of.
Oh, we don't talk about that. I mean, I've got my stance on it, and then Stephen will elaborate, I'm sure. AI, it doesn't feel like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's not going to sort of dissipate. There's too much driving force behind it. So it's going to stick around. We're encouraging students to use it as a tool to assist them in the creation of stuff, not to just create things or write stuff for them, but to use it alongside what they're currently doing as sort of like a shortcut or like something like that to assist with learning. A good example of this is, for example, when doing coding, just as an example, you can use AI to generate little snippets, but you have to understand what it's creating. You have to be able to read what it's creating and have a fundamental base knowledge of it to be able to utilize it in the proper way. So we're just encouraging students to go down that route rather than just sort of generating stuff, chucking it in, seeing if it works, generating a new bit, chucking it in, seeing if it works, that sort of thing. So provide fundamental knowledge and then use AI as a tool to get the most out of that and to make the most of your time. Do you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, we do, as Adam says, we do encourage them to use it. But this is becoming a problem for the awarding bodies. They're going to have to do something about this because at the moment, AI is obviously not allowed in any way, shape, or form as far as the examinations are concerned, all the practical examinations they've got to do. But they're going to have to do something because they are allowed to use the internet during practical exams because they have to look up error codes or whatever it might be. So they're allowed to use that. So they've started to integrate the internet into the exams. So they're going to have to do the same with the AI at some point. I encourage them to use it as a tool. So an example of that would be currently they're running mock exams. So they are producing work. So I'm encouraging them to say, get the marking scheme from the awarding body, plug that into the ChatGPT, put their work into ChatGPT, tell them where they've done wrong, what they've done well. So encourage them to develop their own way of analyzing their work rather than necessarily getting me to do it. So put myself out of a job. But also to quiz them. So if they've got a particular subject, they'll use it to quiz themselves on it and get it to throw questions at them. So it's just a tool, but certainly we don't allow them to use it to generate material which they then can try and pass off as their own, because they won't be allowed to do that in the exams anyway at the moment. So, but yeah, we don't hide away from it. We encourage it as best we can within certain boundaries.
This is a question for you, Stephen. Do you feel as though it's like cast your mind back sort of like 10, 20 years when you're saying, oh, you won't have a calculator in your pocket at all times? Is it one of those situations?
Well, to some degree, I see something like ChatGPT as being a fancy calculator. So I encourage them to use it in that regard.
Also, like as an idea, you may teach them to use them and see when they hallucinate, when they give you the wrong answer. So they must always double check what the AI says. This could be very, very, very useful actually for them.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Yeah.
Oh. Right, go on, yeah, that'll work, won't it?
Is this a follow-up on the AI?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, double tool. Yeah, I think AI is a really interesting thing, and I mean, where I work, we've just recently been given loads of credits on Copilot in both GitHub and in just Office 365 nonsense, and it's kind of fun. But I think the important thing for you guys as educators is it speeds up my workflow a lot, and you can do things without having to involve other teams because you can just go, oh, well, I can bin them off and just get the AI to do the bit that team should have done and then give it to them to do properly and stuff. So yeah, it's good for that. But what people need is the basic building blocks of how things join together, and the fundamentals of like the OSI layers in networking. Yeah, I can jump on any manufacturer's switch and configure ports, not knowing how the switch works, because you know how the stack works. And I think that's the really important thing. If they've got that basic fundamental knowledge, some of it's the bit of the boring bit, but then, I went out of tech for a while and I came back and, Kubernetes is now the cool thing. But, it's like, whatever, it's the same as everything that came before it, but a bit different. And I think that's the important thing for you guys to take away is what people need in industry, because, it'll be something new in 2 years' time, 3 years' time.
It's a tool that IT technicians use. Google is IT technician's best friend. ChatGPT now is probably an IT technician's best friend. So we don't want to discourage them from using it, because that's what they're going to be using when they actually get a job. We've just got to train them how to use it and how to use it correctly, and show the downfalls of it as well. That it's not perfect by any stretch.
Challenging.
Yes, it is challenging.
I've just been told this is the last question, and it's fallen to me, which feels very, oh my God. I haven't done any speaking tonight either. Have you? Go on, do you want to do that one?
I've got a question online, which is Nikhil. Which display did you use for the bus information badge?
Yeah, so this is from Adafruit. It's a 2.23-inch mono OLED. It's 128 by 32, and it has an SSD 1305 controller.
Cool.
That's
Thank you very much.
yeah. You can find the
Cheers.
same thing on Waveshare as well, by the way, for a few quid cheaper.
Nice one. Thank you.
Awesome. And then I guess just to round it off, then I know I'm being given kind of the way for the time and stuff, so we might have to keep it in a nutshell. But I'm just intrigued to know how you've been working with Andre at Sussex. I know you said that you met him at this meetup, but I know, he was here speaking about open hardware for anyone that wasn't here. But that's also not his specialism. He works in the neuroscience department, so it's kind of a very broad spectrum. And yeah, it'd just be good to hear kind of which part of that spectrum you've been looking at with the students.
Yeah, so Andre's he's an interesting dude. He's got a lot of stuff on the go, a lot of different projects. He tends to get research projects launched at him, and then he needs to create custom tech, custom hardware to solve problems, but also solve other problems outside of that as well. One of the projects that is ongoing is the creation of the microscope that he spoke about at the previous Breaking Breadboards meetup, and solving some of the issues around that and making it more sustainable. There's so much he's doing. So the students are going in and helping out with things like creation of like custom 3D models to replace medical equipment, and to supplement the other projects that are on the go, but also create MicroPython code to again solve solutions and run custom built hardware that he's got on the go. Sol might be a bit helpful here as well. He's got a bit of insight, but yeah, they're kind of getting stuck in on the base level problems that are being brought to them. Hopefully, they get to the point where they can start creating solutions on their own. That is the goal, but at the moment, they're just sort of helping out with whatever needs to be done.
Great. Well, a big round of applause and thank you for all our speakers. We need content. So if you would like to be up here next time, telling us all about your latest project, it doesn't have to work yet. It can be a work in progress. Let us know and do get in touch and we can sort that out. The next event is the 10th of June. That is a little bit of a jump away, we know, but there's this horrible thing called Easter, and then we have these bank holidays in May, and it just makes life difficult. It's possible we might do a social-ish meet up in a pub and have a chat sort of thing in between. If you'd like to do that, jump on the Slack, suggest it. I'm sure we can all come along. But if not, it'll be the 10th of June. It's probably going to be me talking about a robot and the build of a robot stack, and hopefully with the demo of it, if I'm not breaking its shoulders with motors again. So, well, that's true. To be honest, it was quite impressive when it goes around corners and it dislocates its own shoulders. But you learn things like levers and have effects and actually maximize the force of coming from the wheels. So yes, it's all good. It's all good stuff. So thank you very much. Please feel free to have a little bit of chat as you leave, and we're probably going to the pub. Some people tend to go to the pub. Isn't compulsory. If not, we will see you next time. I don't know, because I never go. Whichever one's not got live music on is normally the answer, to be honest. So the cricketers, as long as they've not got live music. I'm sorry for advertising the cricketers badly online. Thank you very much. We're closed down. And thank you everyone for coming.